Now let us start creating our DAX formula, starting with the first set of functions, which is date and time function. So let us look at the problem statement. Determine the total number of orders placed based on the day of the week starting from Monday to Sunday. So in this scenario, we have to calculate the total number of orders that have been placed and segregate them into days of the week. This will help understand how the demand of the product is throughout the week. So I am here in the data view, and as the first step, we have to mark the order date into days of the week. So here we have the date and we have to find out which day of the week it is. So for that, I'll add a calculated column. Now there are two ways that you can add a calculated column. The first option is to go to Table Tools, and under Calculations you can see options like New Measures, Quick Measures, New Column and New Table. The other way is to go to the table and then right click and select the New Column option. So let's click on this new column. And when you create a new column, by default the name will be column. So let us rename this column to day number. Now in this example, we will be looking into the weekday function. So let us type in weekday. Now as soon as I start entering the name of the function that I am looking for, you can see a list of functions drops down which contain the same string within its function name. So here is my function weekday, and the symbol over here means that these are all functions. So I'll go to weekday and hit a tab to select that function. Now the first argument here is date, and date is the order date from the sales table. So I'll input sales. So as I type in sales, you can see all the elements that contain that particular string drops down over here. So if you see over here, these two with FX symbol are functions. Now the ones with the table icon next to it are tables, for example sales, and the rest all over here are columns in that particular table. So here first one is the sales table and the rest below it are the columns in the sales table. Now the column name I am looking for is the order date. So I'll go here, hit a tab and select that column. So you can see over here that sales is the table name, and then inside the square bracket is the column from that particular table, then comma, and now the next argument is return type. So we have three values that we can provide as return type, 1, 2 and 3. However, if we do not provide any value, by default it will take 1 as the return type. Now by default Microsoft considers start of the week from a Sunday, which is the return type 1. But since I want my week to start from a Monday, I can select either 2 where Monday is marked as 1 through Sunday which is marked as 7, or 3 where Monday is a 0 and Sunday is 6. I will go with option 2 where Monday is 1 and Sunday is 7. So I will select 2, close the bracket and enter. So here you can see a new column called day number has been added to our table. And now if I click on this filter, you can see that it has entries starting from 1 through 7. So 1 is a Monday, 2 a Tuesday, 3 Wednesday and so on till 7 which is a Sunday. So if we look at 7th August, it says 5, which means that it is a Friday. So using the weekday function, we have represented a date as a day in the week in the form of a number. Now, similar to how we use the weekday function to mark a date to its corresponding day in the week, there is another function called day. Let me quickly show a demo for that. So I'll add a new column to the sales table. And if I use the function day, select and hit a tab. Now the only argument that it needs over here is the date. So again for this I'll give the order date. And when I hit enter, you can see that the date is now represented as a number of day in that particular month. For example, if it's 9 September, it shows 9. That means it's the 9th day of that month. For 12 December, you can see that the number is 12. It means that it's the 12th day in December and so on. Now similarly, if you change this day to month, it will extract the month from a particular date. Let me hit enter. So here you can see that it shows 8 because here the month is August, which is 8. Here it is 12 for December. 2 here because it's February and so on. And similarly, if you want to extract the year, so now if I change this to year and hit enter, you can see it has extracted year from the given date. Now similar to this, we have the second, minute and hour functions which can extract the seconds, minute and hour value from a given time argument. So those were the most commonly used date and time functions. Now I'm going to delete this column. So if there is any calculated column that you want to delete from your table, just right click on it and click on delete. Or if you want to rename your calculated column, you can select this rename option and change the name. For the time being, I'll just delete it. It is asking for my confirmation. I'll click on delete again. Now coming back to our problem statement, that we have to find out the total number of orders placed based on the days of the week. So for that, I'll add a new measure. So you could either add a new measure from here or go to table tools and add a new measure from here. So let me click this. So as I said earlier, a calculated column is appended to the table. See, this is the calculated column that we added to the sales table. But when you create a new measure, it is not appended or added to the table. Instead, the calculation will be done when we invoke it. So let me name this measure as total order quantity equal to sum function. This sum function is a math function. Now the parameters that we have to provide in is the column name. So the column name will be this order quantity from the sales table. So as we did earlier, I'll type in the name of the table, and beneath the table you can see the columns of the table. I'll select order quantity from the sales table, hit tab, close the bracket and enter. So you can see a new measure has been created under the sales table. So this is the calculated column that we created and this is the calculated measure. Now let us go to the visualization or the report view. Now I will add a matrix to it. So under visualizations, I'll click on metrics. Now to this, I'll add day number as rows and then total orders under the values field. So you can see here for one, that is for Mondays. All the Mondays together had these many order quantities. That is 10,970. Then for Tuesdays, it was 10,654. For Wednesday, 10,758 and so on. So this helps us understand that irrespective of being a weekday or a weekend, the order quantity is more or less the same.